Hello, welcome to my channel and welcome to today's video. I'm very excited because I am going to talk about Harry Potter 6 today in this video. So excited. I just recently published a video to my YouTube channel about Harry Potter 6 and my experience reading it. I've been rereading all the Harry Potter books, so I have a whole playlist on my channel about each experience with each book and kind of like a journal with me session for everyone. And I just published book 6 a couple days ago, or the video for book 6 a couple days ago, and it was 12 minutes long, and I still don't feel like it was long enough because Harry Potter 6 is just so good and I learned so much. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about Harry Potter 6, so I decided to make another video. And I also wanted to look at Harry Potter 6 through a specific lens. I wanted to talk about super connectors within Harry Potter 6. Because reading Harry Potter 6, my mind just kept thinking about super connectors, which I'll get to in a minute of what that is. But I feel like a huge theme of this book was connection and being a super connector. So I wanted today to talk in this video about what a super connector is and what I learned about super connectors from reading Harry Potter 6. It's so good. So if you haven't read Harry Potter 6, highly recommend. If you haven't watched my video of the journal with me, definitely go check that out. I can link to it below. I'm loving Harry Potter, basically, is the moral of the story. Loving Harry Potter. I'm on book 7. Just hit chapter 3 in book 7, and it's so good. Anyway, let's go back to Harry Potter 6, though, for today's video. I'm so excited. Before we talk about Harry Potter, though, we're gonna go back a couple years and talk about one of my college classes. It was like a networking, how to grow yourself on LinkedIn, your brand or your image. I don't even remember the title of the class or like really lots of other things about the class, but it was this networking, growing yourself on LinkedIn class. And my teacher had this word that he used all the time called super connectors, and he would talk about people who connect with others on LinkedIn, who network, but then there's a step further beyond that, and they're called super connectors, and they are people who connect with others for the sole purpose of bringing other people together. Like, it's not even I'm connecting with someone for my personal gain. Obviously good karma happens, and once you grow your connections, then you always have people in your circle who are going to help you when you need it. So, like, good things happen to super connectors, but it's not their sole purpose. So a super connector is, say I make friends with a plumber, and maybe I don't need plumbing, I don't need a plumber in my life right now, but I know maybe eventually down the line I might have a friend who needs a plumber, and then I can step in as the super connector, and I can connect the plumber friend I have with my other friend, and this other friend can use the plumber. And you are just like the behind the scenes connector, like connecting other people. And eventually in life, super connectors usually have jobs. Super connectors usually have the things they need, because along the way they've made so many connections and so many friends that jobs just come, or when you need something, like, someone else is there and they remember, oh, you connected me with that plumber back then, I can connect you with this person, I can help you with this, and good things come around. But it's this idea that you are connecting people behind the scenes, and I loved this idea so much better because I feel like I hate the word networking. It seems like you're just there for personal gain, and I'm not even really gonna have a conversation with you. I just want a job eventually, so I'm just gonna try to weasel my way in to your contacts so that one day I can get a job. I don't know. It just feels a little fake and doesn't really feel like me. And I already don't feel like I'm super business savvy or, yeah, built that way. Like, I don't really see myself as a networker anyway, but I really loved this idea of super connecting, and it kind of changed my whole mindset on the networking idea. I became way more comfortable with it because I'm not networking for myself. I'm super connecting. I'm growing my connections so eventually I can help grow somebody else's connections. And I love this idea. And my teacher at the time for this class, I had 2 classes with him. So every Tuesday and Thursday I was having 2 classes with him, in every single class, in the networking class, but then in the other class I took with him, he would do it in both classes. He had us start our class period by friending or following, like reaching out to 5 new people on LinkedIn. People we hadn't, they could be people in our lives that we hadn't talked to on LinkedIn or like connected with on LinkedIn. But normally it was just like, oh, this random person in my class, or oh, my coworker, or whoever. You were just like 5 new people that you weren't connected with on LinkedIn every class period, and reaching out to 10 contacts that you haven't talked to in a while. And that could be on LinkedIn. This was mostly a LinkedIn class, so he like encouraged LinkedIn so that we were using LinkedIn, but it could be anyone. Like, maybe you had a friend you haven't reached out to, or maybe you haven't responded to someone's text in a while. Like, those counted. So it was 5 new people and then 10 people to reach out to. And I was doing that twice a day. So I was really reaching out to 10 new people and 20 people I hadn't gotten back to in a while. And I feel like that semester, my connections grew. Like, not even the new people on LinkedIn. That grew so much, for sure. But even the people in my life that I was just reaching out to, that improved so much. And I was able to, like, get together with some friends that I hadn't seen in a while. So many cool things happened, actually. I was able to meet the people running for city council in my hometown. And I was able to set up like a little meet and greet thing at the place I worked. And they were able to like present what platform they were running for. And lots of people came to that restaurant that I worked at and just met the candidates. And it was really cool. So many cool things happened with this semester. And I just fell in love with the super connector aspect of things. I think... yeah, this super connector idea is just so fascinating to me and seems easier and better than networking does in my head. I don't know, maybe am I weird? Am I the weird one here, or are other people like networking? I don't know, it just feels fake, and you can totally tell when people are being fake. I've had a few people who tried to be my friend, but I know they're not trying to be my friend. They're just checking it off their list. Like, it feels fake. It doesn't feel like they actually care about me. They just want something out of me, which is how I viewed networking forever. And I don't like it so much, but I really liked this concept of super connectors. And since that class, it's now been a couple years. I'm definitely not a perfect super connector, and I've gone through phases in my life where I'm like, it's on the forefront of my mind and I'm thinking about, yes, let's be a super connector, and then phases where I don't even remember the word. But Harry Potter 6, I was thinking about super connectors the whole book. There are so many examples of, I don't even want to say super connectors, some super connectors, a lot of just maybe connectors, and maybe even networking in the definition that I don't love about networking. There's so many examples in this, and I feel like this whole book was about strengthening your connections. I I talked about it in my other video about Harry Potter 6, but my favorite part in this book was Molly and Fleur's whole story, because they hated each other through the majority of the book. Fleur is going to be the sister-in-law. She's marrying Bill, I think in book 7. But at the beginning of the book, Ginny, Hermione, and Molly all hated Fleur. She's like living at their house for a while because Bill's busy at work and he wants the family to meet her, but they just were so mean to her, calling her names behind her back, just not being very kind or accepting, and it drove me crazy. But the story of how they strengthened that connection and that relationship and where they got to at the end of the book was so profound and so beautiful, and I loved it. It was my favorite part of the whole book. Possibly my favorite part of the whole series. Like, it was so good. So, I loved that. That's one example. You had so many, though. Like, I'm just gonna list out the connections. There's so many. So, where I first saw it was with Dumbledore and Harry. Like, Dumbledore and Harry had a few meetings this year, and they were strengthening that connection together. And I thought that was so cool of them to strengthen that relationship and that connection, because in the last book, in book 5, Dumbledore wouldn't look at Harry. Like, there went a whole year without any Dumbledore Harry, like, anything. And they ended book 5 with Dumbledore almost crying about how distant he's been this year, and, like, I think you could read kind of his fear of, like, yeah, I should have been better and I should have talked to you, but I was worried about all this and the occlumency and, like, Voldemort seeing into you. Like, he had his reasons for why he couldn't talk to Harry the whole year. But, like, book 5 was really hard, and Harry needed Dumbledore, and Dumbledore wasn't there for him. And so I feel like at the end of book 5, I could almost feel Dumbledore's fear of, like, or not even fear, but, like, apprehension. Like, I really want to create a relationship with you, and I want to make that more solid, but I know I've spent a year not doing that. So hopefully we're okay. And so going into book 6, I think Dumbledore was a little bit on edge. Like, I did not love the first meeting with Dumbledore when he is showing off to Harry in front of the Dursleys. And, like, I just thought he was kind of mean to the Dursleys. Sure, the Dursleys might deserve it, but I didn't love that, and I was just like, okay, that's weird. But I think Dumbledore was trying to kind of prove himself to Harry, prove that he could be an ally again, and he could be a confidant, and he could strengthen that relationship, and he wanted to do that. So, I mean, I have opinions on that chapter, but that's another story for another time. Anyway, then this whole book, you keep having these meetings with Dumbledore, and it was interesting to see how Dumbledore kind of strengthened that relationship and made that connection stronger. And then later in the book, Rufus Scrimgeour shows up, and he's the Minister of Magic, and he asks Harry to kind of be like the face of the ministry and be the propaganda for it, basically. And Harry says that he is Dumbledore's man through and through. And that was just so cool and then Harry tells that to Dumbledore, that he is his man through and through. And Dumbledore his eyes started tearing up, and it was just so sweet. But I think that was really cool to see how far they've come, because last year, Harry was so confused about Dumbledore. I was so confused about Dumbledore and what was going on. And then he's worked really hard on strengthening this connection. I do feel like there's instances in this book where Dumbledore could have done better. Like, I wanted Dumbledore to explain Snape more. Like, and Malfoy. Harry is so worried about Malfoy in this book and so worried about Snape, and Dumbledore does not give him any time to even explain or anything. Like, I feel like he could have sat down and he could have said, okay, Harry, why do you not trust Snape? Okay, here's why I do. Or, like, okay, let's just talk through this Draco Malfoy thing. Like, he just kind of brushed it off and moved on. And I feel like Dumbledore definitely could have been better in that situation, especially given what happens at the end of book 6. Like, he just could have strengthened that part of the connection way better, I think. But it was really cool to see how Dumbledore strengthened his connection. I also think Dumbledore, not even with Harry, Dumbledore is a super connector. He's really good. And him going after the memories, going after the people who had the memories of Tom Riddle, like, that was super cool. He went after house elves, Morphin, and all of these people to try and get memories about Tom Riddle, which I don't feel like is this networking idea, because it's not really for personal gain, it's for the greater good. Like, I'm developing this connection with you so that I can get this memory, but it'll help us in the end. I don't know. I feel like Dumbledore is such an interesting guy, and it's really cool that he sees the good in everyone. I think that is one of his strengths, and that is something that's super important to me in a super connector. Because another place I saw super connectors in this book was with Horace Slughorn. I think he is a great, maybe not super connector per se, because I don't think I'll get to that. I wouldn't call him a super connector. But I would say he's great at networking, and he's great at making connections. Horace Slughorn is behind the scenes making all these connections. He's like bragging about all of these connections he has. He gets information about Gringotts, I think, and he gets free Quidditch match tickets. He gets all of these extra, like, bonus things that come from having these great friends. And he is proud of his connections, and he's very good at networking and making these connections and kind of creating almost these students who will become great people. He definitely plays a role in getting them to where they can shine and get him stuff. I feel like he has the part of a super connector that's kind of behind the scenes. Like, I feel like a super connector definitely has to be a little bit behind the scenes. I'm not connecting with a plumber in order to connect with a plumber. Yes, there is some of that, and yes, you can be a super connector and need a plumber and connect with a plumber. But I think your motivation, how I understand it, is networking. You're motivating for personal gain. I want a job. I want to be friends with you because eventually I might benefit from that friendship. And super connecting, I just want to connect with people, and eventually I know people and I can set them up. I can call my friend who needs a plumber. I can call them and get them a plumber. That's how I see the difference. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if I'm crazy with this super connector thing, or if you agree, let me know. But I think Horace Slughorn is really good at the networking part, and even at the behind the scenes part. Like, there's a part in this book that he talks about how or Dumbledore even says this, that he doesn't want to be out front. He does like working behind the scenes to get people, but his connections are so important to him. And I feel like one major difference between Dumbledore and Horace Slughorn is that Dumbledore sees the good in everyone, and Slughorn is very choosy. He does not connect with everyone. He doesn't give Ron the time of day. He doesn't look at the Weasleys. He doesn't choose everyone. He chooses Harry because he's the chosen one and he's famous. He chooses Lily because she's great at potions. Like, you have to be really smart or have really cool, famous parents, or you have to have a famous story. It's not just anyone who's invited to the Slug Club, which I feel like Horace actually misses out on some things where Dumbledore doesn't, because Dumbledore sees the good in everyone and he connects with everyone. Like, he went and connected with a house elf who had this memory about Tom Riddle, and I found that so cool that they were going into a house elf's memory, where I feel like most wizards actually would not. Most wizards don't love house elves, and they're not given the rights that wizards are. So I found it interesting that Dumbledore had a house elf's memory, which is another, I could go off on that tangent too. This book was just so good. Oh, I loved it. Anyway, but Slughorn doesn't do that. Like, he's very choosy. He's very picky on who he brings into his circle. And I think in the end, that's actually maybe not as beneficial as it could be for him. I think the Slug Club has so much potential. Like, reading it, okay, so possibly from book 4 and on, I could be wrong about that, the Sorting Hat has talked about being united. I think it was book 4, because I think it was book 4, and then he mentioned it again in book 5, and then Harry missed the big feast in book 6. So I want to say 4 and 5, the Sorting Hat mentioned how the houses need to be unified and need to be together, because we're in the middle of a war with Voldemort and the Death Eaters. You have to band together. And that is so interesting, but then nothing really happens. Like, they haven't really come together. They're still very separate and very their own house, and they don't mingle outside of their own house. And I feel like the Slug Club would be a perfect opportunity for the houses to mingle and to become friends. Like, I so wanted Harry to go to Slug Club meetings. Obviously, they were not the Slug Club I had envisioned, and obviously Harry doesn't want to go to them, because the only reason Slughorn is even interested in Harry is because he's the chosen one. That might actually be wrong. I think he was interested because of Lily also. But still, it's not really about Harry. Maybe after, when he starts being really good at potions with the Half-Blood Prince, maybe, had Harry not been the chosen one and Lily had not been his mom, do we think Slughorn would have still accepted Harry into the Slug Club? Maybe once he's showing that he's really good at potions, Slughorn would be like, oh yeah, come join my club. But, yeah, I don't know. So yeah, Harry didn't want to go to the Slug Club anyway, and it wasn't what it's definitely just a club for people Slughorn chooses. It's not what I wanted, but I feel like the Slug Club could have so much potential and could help unify so many people, and Slughorn could have so many more connections if he doesn't pick and choose. Like, Neville Longbottom, so good. Luna Lovegood, so good. There's so many good students that, I mean, could have so much potential, and eventually, if Slughorn is just in this for the free stuff and the like tickets and bonuses, and I don't even know what to call that, but like, you know, the swag he gets from the students, I guess. If he's in this super connecting business just for the swag and the merch and all the benefits, wouldn't then just like having more connections anyway be helpful to that? Because then you have more opportunities to gain. Like, you have more people to get free stuff from, and yet he picks and chooses because I don't even know why. I don't know his motivations. If maybe he's like, oh, I made whoever is at Gringotts now, I made them who they are today, and I gave them a job, and I have all my connections, versus like, oh, I made this random student a job who hasn't done anything cool with their lives. I don't know. Maybe he just wants the prestige of knowing all the right people. But then again, you were connecting with Voldemort, so like, I'm curious on Slughorn. He's an interesting character to me, and I want to keep learning more about him. I don't know if he really is in book 7, but he was intriguing to me, and I feel like, yeah, that was a big difference between Dumbledore and Slughorn, that Dumbledore sees the good in everyone, and Slughorn only picks and chooses the good he wants to see. Because so many students are good. All the students are good, and he's very choosy. He just picks and chooses, and isn't really a super connector in the definition that I have of super connecting. And I feel like one takeaway from this book was that I could be more inviting and welcoming to all connections, not just ones I pick because of my own gain. Like, Slughorn, I definitely think does not possess the part of super connectors that is selfless, that you're just connecting with the idea of helping others eventually. Slughorn only connects with those he thinks will give him gain later. Which he would be a character I would love to meet. Like, if I could jump into Harry Potter and be in that world for a little bit, I would love to go talk to Horace Slughorn and hear more about him. And part of me wonders, my siblings, we already had this discussion and my siblings said that, heck no, this would never happen. But part of me wonders if, had Harry tried harder to develop a connection with Slughorn and, like, go to the meetings or, like, actually try to develop a connection and not, I don't know, maybe, who knows, maybe Slughorn would have been more willing to give up the memory because he has a connection with Harry. Like, he's friends with Harry, actually. Or he talks to Harry about Lily way before chapter 23, or 22, I guess, when Harry gets the memory finally from, like, coercing drunk Slughorn, which is fine, I'm glad they got the memory, but, like, I was like, could he have gotten the memory easier and earlier had Harry tried to develop a connection with Slughorn? Could that have worked? I don't know. My siblings said no. Obviously, I think who knows? But I was like, I wonder if Harry had cared enough about that connection that maybe things would have gone differently. Because, yeah, Harry doesn't want to be connected to Slughorn. Slughorn only wants him because of the gain Harry could give him by being friends or whatever with the Chosen One, you know? Yeah. Anyway, Slughorn is an interesting character, and I have so much to say about his Slug Club, and I feel like there's so much potential there. And I think Slughorn has the makings of a good super connector, but I don't think he's the super connector part yet. He's just really good at connecting with people, but he's very picky and choosy, which maybe is just, he's a Slytherin and you're ambitious, so you want the best people. But I feel like there is a argument for super connectors, that they connect with everyone. You might not need a plumber, but eventually you might, and your friend might. And instead of choosing, like, oh, I'm not going to connect with a plumber, like, you connect with everyone, because eventually you'll need everyone. Everyone needs everyone. And those connections will come, you know? The good things come to those who connect with other people. I don't know. Take what you will from that. I don't know. Anyway, another place I found connections in this, we might go back to Horace Slughorn. I don't know. He was a really cool example to me of a connector. He was interesting. Anyway, in chapter 3, okay, I just opened it randomly. Okay, in chapter 3, they had the Ministry of Magic releases, so, at the end of book 5, they break into the Ministry, and everything goes down. Fudge gets out of office, because people don't like him anymore, and he's, like, not doing anything. He's been denying that Voldemort is back, and so people are like, what the heck, we don't want you as our head anymore. And Rufus Scrimgeour becomes head of office, and he's like this he's very tough, he's like this war hero, and one of the first things he does in office is put out this pamphlet that said, nearby on the floor lay a purple leaflet emblazoned with the words, "Issued on behalf of the Ministry of Magic, protecting your home and family against dark forces. The wizarding community is currently under threat from an organization calling itself the Death Eaters. Observing the following simple security guidelines will help protect you, your family, and your home from attack." And then it gives 7 little rules that you should be following in order to protect yourself from the Death Eaters. And some of them are super obvious. Like, if you see a dark mark above the house, don't go into that house. So yeah, super obvious. But, and others, like, don't go out by yourself alone at night. Okay, yes. Hopefully people already are following that and not leaving their house. But maybe, I mean, I'm sure it was just a bit of propaganda that the Ministry and Rufus Scrimgeour needed to put out there to show that they're doing something in these trying times, you know? But a few of, well, actually most of them, I would actually argue that most of them were very isolating. Don't leave your house alone at night. And also don't like, I don't even know which one it is, but most of them were like, don't go mingling, don't go visit your neighbors, don't go, like, stay at home, stay safe, stay with your own little knit group, stay with, like, close friends and family, and agree on security questions. But then it said that if you feel like a friend or a neighbor or a family member is acting suspicious, there's a good chance that they might be under the Imperious Curse. So if you think that they're acting suspicious, call the Ministry of Magic immediately. And that was so interesting because most of these are like, don't go outside, don't go connect with people, don't go talk to random people. But then how would you know if they're under the Imperious Curse if you've never really talked to them, if you don't know what their normal is? So I've been listening to this podcast called Harry Potter and the Sacred Text. It's so good. Highly recommend. It breaks down chapter by chapter of each book, and this book especially, the podcast was so good for it. But one of the things that they pointed out in this part specifically was that you can't really know how a person acts normally. Like, you wouldn't know if they're under the Imperious Curse if you don't go talk to them beforehand. And actually, during a war and during this hard time with the Death Eaters everywhere, actually the most important thing probably is to go strengthen your connections. Go meet your neighbors. Go talk to people. Like, we have to stand together against these dark forces. We need each other in this war. We need our connections. Yeah, go out and talk, which was cool to think, like, oh wait, that actually, being a super connector would be so helpful in this situation, whereas what the Ministry of Magic is saying is very isolating and very, don't go connect with people, don't go out of your house, don't leave it, don't do anything crazy. But also, if people are acting weird, that you might not know if they're acting weird, because if you're not outside connecting with them. But if they're acting weird, contact the Ministry immediately. Interesting. There's so many issues with the Ministry of Magic, and I'm so excited to learn more about it and read book 7, because I love this book. It was so good. Okay, so another place I saw connections, you get the whole Unbreakable Vow. I thought the first 2 chapters of this book I absolutely loved. So you get the other minister, which is a totally another example of Fudge and Rufus Scrimgeour trying to deepen a connection with the minister, the Muggle minister. But again, are they even trying to deepen that connection? Because I think cool things could happen with that connection. I feel like I'm very annoyed with how wizards treat Muggles, but I feel like there's so much potential with Muggles, and like, wouldn't you want to make that connection anyway? I feel like the current Muggle minister could go connect with past ministers and be like, I feel really crazy, like, a wizard has been talking to me, and that's insane. Is that a thing? Like, the past ministers would know, right? Couldn't he go talk to them? Obviously, I'm sure he thinks they would think he's crazy, but like, Fudge told him that he's talked to all the ministers, so I feel like that would be such a good resource. And is Rufus Scrimgeour just ticking a box? Like, yeah, I talked to the Muggle minister. That's my job. I'm supposed to do that? Or is he trying to strengthen that connection? And should he feel responsible for these Muggle deaths going on because he's not doing his job? Great. So, like, should he feel responsible that obviously he can't prevent all the Death Eater attacks, but, like, is that few-minute conversation with the Muggle minister really gonna handle your problems and everything, or are you just ticking a box? Like, you could totally grow that connection more, and I was fascinated by that chapter. Then you have the Unbreakable Vow, which is another connection, and it was really cool to see Snape and Malfoy's connection over the course of the book. So that was another one. I think Voldemort, actually, this might sound really weird, but Voldemort is a really good connector. I don't think he's a super connector. I think he's evil and terrible, and he's not a nice connector. He definitely doesn't connect to help other people. He connects for personal gain, and then he uses people that he makes connections with. Like, I don't even know that it's a real connection because he can't feel love. So it's just like they're a tool. He's just picking up someone and using them for whatever he needs. So I don't even know that I could say connecting or even networking. I don't think he's like networking either with them. He's just using them as a tool. But I found it so interesting. So I'm gonna read a part in chapter 23, which is called Horcruxes, and it is the coolest chapter in this book. I loved it so much. It's where you're finally entering the memory, the untampered memory from Horace Slugghorn, and then Dumbledore's actually talking to Harry about what's going on and what a Horcrux is, and oh, it was so good. My favorite chapter of all time, and really, I was slightly frustrated with it, and then chapter 23 hit, and it just took off, and it was amazing. Loved this book. Anyway, so in this chapter, you're in Slughorn's memory right now when Slughorn is telling Tom Riddle about Horcruxes, and you get this. Okay, so they're in the pensive now. So Dumbledore landed beside Harry just as Riddle asked, "Sir, is it true that Professor Merrythought is retiring?" Tom, if I knew, I couldn't tell you," said Slughorn, wagging his finger reprovingly at Riddle, though winking at the same time. "I must say, I'd like to know where you get your information, boy. More knowledgeable than half the staff you are." Riddle smiled, the other boys laughed, and cast him admiring looks. "What with your uncanny ability to know things you shouldn't, and your careful flattery of the people who matter." That is important. Your careful flattery of the people who matter. That is Voldemort connecting. Not super connecting, not even networking. I don't know that I even should say connecting. He's just getting those teachers to like him so that he can use them later. Anyway, your careful flattery of the people who matter. Also, that's interesting that Slughorn's like, oh, the people who matter, because Slughorn is very choosy about who he thinks the people who matter are. So I guess Voldemort is also very choosy. Thank you for the pineapple, by the way. You're quite right. It is my favorite. And, okay, I will keep going because Slughorn says something really interesting next. But I've made my point, I think, about what Voldemort does. Anyway, I confidently expect you to rise to Minister of Magic within 20 years. 15 if you keep sending me pineapple. I have excellent contacts at the Ministry. Tom Riddle merely smiled as the others laughed again. "I don't know that politics would suit me, sir," he said when the laughter had died away. "I don't have the right kind of background, for one thing." Okay, this chapter is so good. I just want to keep reading. Anyway, I think we learned so much in those couple paragraphs because, yeah, Tom Riddle uses flattery and he connects, in quotes, connects with teachers in order to use them eventually as tools. Like sending Slughorn Pineapple, he's not doing that out of kindness. No, he's doing it because he wants to know about Horcruxes. He's doing it because he wants to be in the Slug Club, and he wants the connections that Slughorn has. Voldemort wants too. And, like, Voldemort is not doing any of this out of kindness, which I think is important for a super connector. Like, you have to understand, the super connector is not connecting out of, like, wanting gain or wanting benefits or anything. They're connecting to help others eventually. Like, not even to somewhat make connections for themselves. True. I think there's always a personal thing in everything, right? But it's not trying to be fake or trying to network for myself. It's connecting because I want to grow my circle and I want to help connect other people. Like, you're the bridge. You're the person behind the scenes. Like Slughorn does. He's not up front. He's behind the scenes. But Slughorn isn't connecting with everyone. And Voldemort is just using people. They're just tools to him. He doesn't care who he kills in the end. And, oh, okay. I want to say it's in this chapter too, but there is a part, is it in this chapter? It might be, I don't know what chapter it is, but Tom Riddle comes back, after he starts going by Voldemort, comes back to Hogwarts to reapply for the Defense Against the Dark Arts position. He already applied once, but the headmaster at the time told him he was too young because he was like 18. So, comes back, and Dumbledore is the headmaster, and he is asking for the Defense Against the Dark Arts job. He wants to apply. And Dumbledore said a line that I found so fascinating, because, okay, Dumbledore knew that his Death Eaters were in Hogsmeade waiting to congratulate Voldemort for getting the job, or waiting to attack the school if he didn't get the job, or whatever. Dumbledore points out that he knows which Death Eaters are sitting in probably in the Hog's Head or something, waiting for Voldemort. And Voldemort's like, oh, wait, you know about... And he's all concerned that Dumbledore is awesome and has resources. But Dumbledore doesn't even call them Death Eaters. He calls them the Order of the Servants, which I loved, because I've been talking with my brother about phoenixes and what it means to rise again and what a phoenix does. And at the end of this book, you get Fawkes's long, mournful song after Dumbledore dies, and I thought that was so symbolic and so interesting and cool about how the Order of the Phoenix must be feeling, like all the members, that their leader, that Dumbledore is dead. And how do you move on? What do you do now? So I loved, Fawkes's whole, I think it's called The Phoenix's Lament or something, the chapter. Amazing chapter. Anyway, we've been talking about the difference between the Phoenix and a Death Eater, and how the Death Eater is like eating death. They're afraid of death. They don't want to die. They're eating it. They're above death. Voldemort's trying to make himself immortal with all these Horcruxes and whatnot. Whereas a Phoenix, like, embraces death, actually. And the Phoenix dies and is reborn and comes back. And just this cool symbolism of why the Order of the Phoenix calls themselves that. And what that means and what that looks like. I love the Order of the Phoenix name. But it was so cool when Dumbledore called the Death Eaters the Order of the Servants. Because nobody is a friend to Voldemort. Nobody loves him. Like, he wouldn't even... Maybe Bellatrix loves him, but, like, he doesn't reciprocate that love because he doesn't know what love feels like. Like, he's made his soul into 7 pieces. He can't feel anything. And just how far he's gone into the dark arts. Yeah, he knows no love. His parents didn't have love either. Like, he literally knows... He doesn't know love, and that was beautiful. Chapter 2. I think that was still in the Horcrux chapter 23. Dumbledore was talking about how Voldemort doesn't know love, and how Voldemort made the prophecy about Harry become the prophecy about Harry. Like, he just chose Harry to kill. And, and Harry, or Voldemort basically handed Harry his weapons of love. Oh, which was such a cool conversation. Anyway, I just thought it was so cool that it's the Order of the Servants, because nobody is a friend, nobody is an ally, nobody loves Voldemort, and he doesn't love any of them either. Like, they're just servants to him, they're just tools. He wouldn't care. I don't think he mourns when any of them die. I think it's just like, oh, irritating, I have to get a new tool. But it's not like he actually has connections with any of them. Because, yeah, he can't really connect with people. But I thought that example of him flattering, like, oh, okay, also, about Voldemort. Still talking about Voldemort, because he's fascinating. But when he graduated Hogwarts, everyone wanted to hire him. He was getting all these job offers. All the teachers thought he would go far. And Dumbledore was talking about how it was, like, weird, almost. Yeah, probably weird. I don't know the right word. But it was unheard of and weird that Tom Riddle, the greatest, like, he was such a good student. He was flattering and cunning and, like, Tom Riddle, he was this awesome student. And he started working in Borgin Burkes in a shop. And that was, like, shocking for the teachers, because he had so many job offers and so much potential. And can you imagine Tom Riddle as a shop boy? But I thought that was so interesting. Actually, the first time, when I first read that part, I was like, oh, like, yeah, cool that he has a bunch of job offers. And I didn't really think too much of it. And the fact that Borgin Burkes is, like, this evil dark arts store, I was like, okay, that's right up Voldemort's alley, I guess. But then I was thinking about it more, and when they go into Hokei's memory, it might be Hokei's memory about Hepzibah Smith and she had the cup, I think. The cup? Something else? I think she just had Hufflepuff's cup that she showed to Tom Riddle, and Tom Riddle wanted that as a Horcrux, and 2 days later, after seeing the cup, Hepzibah Smith died, and Tom left Borgin Burkes. And during that chapter, it struck me how perfect the job Borgin Burkes is for him to get these Horcruxes, because he has access to all of these cool items for his Horcruxes, and he can use his cunning, flattery, pineapple giving. How did he even explain it? Your careful flattery of the people who matter. Oh, I love that line. Anyway, I feel like at Borgin Burkes, he could use his careful flattery of the people who matter, meaning the people who own the Horcruxes I need, or the items I need to create Horcruxes. He could do that so easily at Borgin Burkes. And so literally the only reason, this is just my opinion, the only reason he started working at Borgin Burkes could literally have been to just get those Horcrux items. Like, maybe he did want to go other places. He had tons of job offers, and I'm sure there were other reasons for Borgin Burkes, but that was probably one of the main ones, that he could get this Horcrux at Borgin Burkes. So that's even still him making those connections in order to use people. Like, he doesn't care for Borgin Burkes. He doesn't care about Hepzibah Smith. But he did want the job, and he did want the cup, and so he's willing to flatter the people who matter most carefully in order to then use them and just trample over them because he feels like he has the right to do that. I'm like, why? He's not even a pureblood himself, so why is this such a big deal for him? But I don't know. Anyway, found that so interesting. Young Tom Riddle, like, even then, in the orphanage, he knew how to use people. Careful flattery of the people who matter most. Which is terrifying and intriguing, and he's awful, but I found him fascinating. And then this idea of super connecting. And I really feel like this book, like, there were so many examples. Okay, my favorite example of a super connector. I think my phone's about to die, so hopefully I can be fast at this video so I can plug it in and edit it. Anyway, my favorite example of a super connector, I don't even remember. Oh, it happened in the Christmas at the Burrow, whatever chapter that was. And that chapter was so annoying because Molly had made everybody else Christmas sweaters and she didn't make one for Fleur. And it's not even about the Christmas sweater, but like, come on, she's gonna be your daughter-in-law. Like, you have to be inviting and welcoming. And then in the Christmas scene, the chapter I'm talking about, Fleur starts talking loudly when Molly's playing her Christmas music. They both were just going at each other and nagging and like passive-aggressive comments that I was just so irritated by. But I couldn't even blame Fleur because Molly had been so rude to her. And this whole book, I'm like, aren't I supposed to like the Weasleys? Like, I didn't even... Harry's infatuation with Ginny, I was like, get over yourself. I don't even like Ginny right now. I ended up loving Ginny at the end, and I cheered at the end of the Quidditch match when they got together. Finally. So I did end up coming to my senses about Ginny, but I really did not like the Weasleys for a good majority of the book because of how rude they were to Fleur. Anyway, that's the background of the situation. You didn't even need the background because I'm not talking about Molly or Fleur at the moment. I'm talking about Lupin. So in the Christmas episode, in the Christmas chapter, Molly and Fleur, like, they're all doing their Christmas thing, and Harry's just kind of sitting there awkwardly because all the things are happening. But Lupin comes and sits next to him. Oh, I think he had told Arthur and Lupin a little bit about his concerns about Malfoy, and they didn't listen or care. But then Lupin says, Harry, I want to apologize for not writing you letters. Which I didn't even realize Harry didn't get those letters either. Like, it didn't even cross my mind. But obviously Harry, that would be hard. He's been going the last couple years with letters from Sirius. And in book 6, Hagrid was kind of mad at them because they aren't taking his class, and so Hagrid wasn't even sending letters. Like, nobody was sending letters to Harry. Every once in a while, he got a little message that was delivered saying, come to my office, whatever time, so that Dumbledore and Harry could talk. But, like, Harry was not getting letters. And I didn't even realize how hard that must be on Harry. But I don't know. That's just something that, like, I don't think we even think about. But obviously when someone dies, you can't talk to them anymore. And it was just sad. And Hermione's getting the Daily Prophet every single day. So every single day, Harry's watching owls come into the dining hall for other people and not getting a letter from Sirius Black. And just that stark reminder that he's gone every single morning. Like, I didn't even think about it, but that would be horrible. That would be awful. And Harry would obviously miss him. And I thought that was just so classy and wonderful of Lupin to even remember that, because I definitely didn't remember it. So I was so impressed by that. But then to go apologize to Harry because he wanted to write him letters, but he's with the werewolves, which that's another example of super connecting. Lupin has to connect with the werewolves to get them on Dumbledore's side, not Voldemort's. So many examples of connecting here. Literally the whole book. So many examples of connections. But yeah, I think Lupin is my favorite character as of right now. Like, that was the coolest. I was so touched and impressed by him even remembering and recognizing that would be really hard for Harry, and then apologize. Like, he can't even fix it. He's with the werewolves, he can't give away his location, he's underground, but he cared enough to mention it and apologize. I'm like, oh, I was just so touched. That was just so cool. And that was a lovely connection piece. Lupin's so good, and I'm so happy for him and Tonks. Anyway, connection. Also Tonks and Lupin, another connection. There were so many. And like Luna, connections. So many connections in this book. Yeah, that was probably my favorite. And then obviously Fleur and Molly's makeup scene. When Bill's like all scarred because of the battle, and he doesn't look normal anymore, and Mrs. Weasley just assumes that Fleur won't want to marry him, and Fleur's all offended that Mrs. Weasley would think so little of her, and she's like, no, I'm in love with your son, I'm marrying him. And just like, it was just so good. I bawled. That was the moment I bawled. I didn't even cry when Dumbledore died, but then Fleur and Molly and I lost it. That was so beautiful. Just a beautiful moment between them. And they're just deepening that connection. Oh, it was so good. Another really cool connection in this book was Dumbledore's funeral. Like, it was so cool to see how many people came. Which Umbridge came, and that drove me crazy. But so many people came to pay their respects, to say goodbye, because Dumbledore helped so many people. And his, you know how in every networking class they always have those like webs, but they always have those webs of like, yeah, you're connected. And I just feel like Dumbledore's is so beautiful. Like, he's touched so many people's lives. He sees the good in everyone, and everyone came to the funeral. And it was just so touching to hear Harry, some guy gets up to say a few words about Dumbledore. I don't even know if the book says his name or anything. And the words don't mean anything. They're just like, oh, he was a great wizard and kind or whatever. I don't know. They don't mean anything. And Harry starts thinking about Dumbledore and his experiences he's had with Dumbledore. And I think that connection is just so beautiful. And it was just a beautifully written funeral, and half of it I didn't even hear because I was just in Harry's memory about Dumbledore and what Harry thought about Dumbledore. So beautiful. Ron and Hermione and Harry's relationship obviously was tested in this book. I feel like it's tested in all the books, but they come together in the end. They strengthen their connection. They're now going with him on the hunt for the Horcruxes, and I love that so much. So I'm excited for that. I feel like this book is just riddled, pun intended, with connection and examples of good and bad connection, or people who connect for their gain versus people who connect for the sake of connecting and for the sake of eventually being able to help. Like, I'm curious how many connections Harry will have in book 7 from all his connecting 1 through 6. Like, how many people are going to help in book 7 in his quest to destroy all the Horcruxes and ultimately fight Voldemort. It's just how many people have sacrificed and been there for him, and like, these connections are so important. They're what helps him. Like, every book he wouldn't have been able to do what he did without the people he knew, without Molly's sacrifices, or Ron and Hermione's sacrifices, or his parents' sacrifices, or like the Order of the Phoenix's sacrifice, Dumbledore, all the people. Like, those connections are so important, and I really felt in this book, my takeaway from this book was that I wanted to focus on being a super connector a bit more. I'm ready for that phase again, and I'm ready to deepen those connections. Like, I thought of people that I haven't texted in a while that I should reach out to. I thought of some friends who, it's been a long time. It's time to reach out again. I feel like that's something kind of cool with YouTube, that we're growing our connection online through a YouTube channel, but I'm growing that connection. I feel like my goal in life, one of my goals in life, is to be a super connector, because I want to be someone who God can rely on. I have enough connections, and I know people that I can help. I can help someone in need, that I can either connect them with someone else if they need that person, or I can just be their friend so that if they need something, I can be someone that is connected with them and I can help. Now that I think about it, maybe God is the super connector in that situation. Like, God is obviously behind the scenes helping connect people together. And I want to be someone that God can use. So that is my goal. And I feel like reading this book, I was definitely thinking about different people that I should reach out to, and just inspired to not be Slugghorn. I feel like it's easy to be choosy. And obviously we can't be best friends with everyone that we come in contact with. And I wouldn't really want to be, because I feel like I have such a fear of being fake. And or even of people being fake, both. But like, yeah, I've had many experiences where I can tell people are being fake. So I would have a fear that if I was everyone's best friend, that I would come across as fake to some people, because nobody has the time or the energy to really be everyone's best friend. Some people you're gonna be an acquaintance level or a coworker level, or not a best friend with everyone. But I do want to strengthen my connections and allow myself to be connected to a lot more people, so that I can be ready when called upon by God, or ready when one of those friends needs a super connector, because I want to be a super connector. So that's what I learned from Harry Potter. Thank you for letting me rant and listening to my TED Talk. I feel like there's a lot to learn about super connecting, and I really just loved this book so much, and really felt like 12 minutes did not do it justice. It's just so good. I honestly probably could have a longer video, much like this, talking about every book in Harry Potter, because there's so many discussion points. Anyway, that's my thoughts on book 6. Go read it. It's amazing. And so many connectors in here. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Hey, it's Editing Mac here. I forgot to mention something when I was making this video, so I decided I wanted to come really quick and do a little voiceover at the end. Something that struck me is something in the podcast that they said, that Harry gets a bad rap for being like an all caps Harry, or just yelling all the time, super angry in book 5, because he's grieving, and Cedric Diggory had just died, and he had just watched Voldemort come back to life, and no one believed him in book 5, and that it was just a lot, and so he's angry all the time, and he gets umbrage, and he gets a bad rap. Book 5 gets a bad rap for it. And the podcast mentioned that Harry's grief didn't magically go away in book 6, which was interesting to think about, because, yeah, arguably Harry's grief actually became so much more, because now you have Sirius Black, who died at the end of book 5, and you have the contents of the prophecy. So Harry's grief and his anger and emotions actually should be higher and more deeper in book 6, given based off of what the end of book 5 has. But he isn't angry all the time, all caps, Harry, in book 6. And I think one of the reasons for that, yes, I think he is still grieving, but I think he has more people to turn to. Now he has Dumbledore. He has Luna and Neville more than ever before. Ron and Hermione, he has friends. Everyone at Hogwarts believes him about Voldemort coming back. And so, yes, I don't think his grief is over. I think he still misses Sirius. He still misses Cedric Diggory. He still is going through a lot. But I think he has the connections to get through it more so this year in book 6 than he did in book 5.